Scoring this goal against Belgium, David Platt's world has turned upside down. He's found new fans around every corner, but no one has been more delighted with his rise to being England's headline maker than Aston Villa's #1 supporter.
The tragic truth about David Platt is one that few expected. For a whole generation of football fans, he remains an icon of English strength and determination. His image is forever tied to one perfect moment, that amazing turning volley in the final seconds of extra time against Belgium at the 1990 World Cup. This goal was not just a winner, it was a cultural moment that pushed England to the semi-finals and made Platt a national hero. This image was built on a foundation of real success. He was the PFA Players' Player of the Year in 1990, a midfielder who scored goals and became one of the first and most successful English players to do well in Italy's Serie A during the 1990s. His career shows determination, quality, and the ability to overcome anything. But this celebrated story hides a more complex and difficult reality. A closer look at his career shows a different story, one defined by major problems, rule breaking, and a management career that became a lesson in money waste and lasting anger. How did the hero of Italia '90 end up creating this problem? How did the man who gave England one of its greatest World Cup moments become such a hated figure? His playing career, while successful in the end, was a constant fight against difficulty. The strength he became famous for was not just a nice quality, it was a direct result of three big challenges that shaped his rise and eventual decline as an elite player. His career began not with glory, but with rejection, a harsh, cold rejection. He signed for Manchester United as an apprentice in 1982 and was awarded a professional contract by manager Ron Atkinson for the 1984-85 season. However, he was released on a free transfer on February 23, 1985, having never played a single game for the first team, not one appearance. This release was not a simple judgment of his talent, though. The club's decision was reportedly twofold. It was partially a cost-cutting move, and more practically, Atkinson simply had too many big names in his squad, ahead of Platt in the pecking order. There was no room for him. This early rejection became the defining moment of his career. Rather than disappearing into obscurity, Platt showed immense self-belief. He dropped 3 divisions to sign for Dario Gradi's Crew Alexandra. This move allowed him to build his reputation from the ground up. He knuckled down and established himself as a prolific box-to-box free-scoring midfielder. His 22-goal haul in the 1986-87 season was the springboard that led him to Aston Villa and ultimately to PFA Player of the Year honours. Before we continue with this incredible story, we want to hear from you. What do you think about players being rejected early in their careers only to prove everyone wrong later? Does it make their success even more special? Let us know in the comments below. And if you are enjoying this deep look into David Platt's career, please hit that subscribe button. This path was formative. It forged the determined David that England would come to love. It set the narrative that would define him. Platt was not a chosen one. He was a fighter who had to earn every step of his ascent. After a magnificent debut season in Italy with Bari, where he scored 11 goals in 29 games, Platt was signed by Juventus for a $6.5 million fee. This was meant to be his dream move, but it quickly went wrong. His momentum stalled. Limited to just 16 league appearances and 3 goals, Platt was viewed as a reserve in a squad that would go on to win the UEFA Cup. This difficult time was the result of a perfect storm of 3 different challenges. 3 barriers that even his talent and determination could not overcome. First, the structural barrier. This was the pre-Bosman ruling era. Serie A rules limited teams to naming only 3 foreign players in a matchday squad. Platt had to be one of the 3 best non-Italians at the club. Direct foreign competitor for an attacking midfield role was the German superstar Andreas Möller. This structural limitation meant Platt was under extraordinary pressure from the moment he arrived. Second, the talent barrier. Even without the foreigner rule, the 1992-93 Juventus midfield was one of the most talented ever assembled. Platt found himself competing against players who were already, or would soon become, legends of the game. Antonio Conte, Dino Baggio, and the reigning Ballon d'Or winner, Roberto Baggio. His being left out was not personal failure. It was an almost mathematical certainty, given the unprecedented concentration of global talent in Italian football at the time. Third, the decisive blow, the injury. The most important and often overlooked factor was pure misfortune. Platt did get his chance, scoring on his debut against Genoa. However, his cause was set back when he missed 3 months of the season with a cartilage injury. This tragic timing was the main cause of his failure to integrate. By the time he returned, the team's hierarchy was established. His place was gone. He was left out of the squad for the UEFA Cup climax. His position became untenable. Yet his reputation was so strong that he still commanded a $5.2 million fee from Sampdoria the following summer. This was a testament to the fact that his difficult year at Juventus was widely understood as a product of circumstance and injury, not a lack of quality. He returned to England in 1995, signing for Arsenal in a $4.75 million deal under manager Bruce Rioch. He was an immediate success and a regular starter. He retained his place even during the first season of Arsène Wenger's 1996-97 tenure, where he started 27 league games, often playing alongside new arrival Patrick Vieira. But everything changed in the summer of 1997 with the arrival of Emmanuel Petit. Platt's subsequent being left out was not personal, it was systemic, a change in tactics. Wenger was constructing a prototype 21st century midfield built on the power, athleticism, and dynamism of the Vieira and Petit axis. This formidable partnership made Platt's intelligent but more traditional box-to-box style tactically out of date. Wenger's preferred pairing was Petit and Vieira, a decision that severely limited Platt's appearances. The data from his time at Arsenal tells the story clearly. In 1995-96 under Bruce Rioch, Platt started 27 league games and made 2 substitute appearances. He was a clear first-team starter. In 1996-97 under Rioch and then Wenger, he started 27 league games and made 1 substitute appearance, often playing alongside Vieira. But in 1997-98, after Petit's arrival in June 1997, he started only 11 league games and made 20 substitute appearances. The shift was dramatic. Platt's starts plummeted by 59%. He was now primarily a substitute. However, his professionalism in this reduced role was vital to Arsenal's Premier League and FA Cup double. He contributed a crucial late header, a superb headed winner in a 3-2 victory over title rivals Manchester United. Given that United finished just 1 point behind Arsenal that season, Platt's bit-part contribution was, in effect, a title-winning one. He was marginalised, but retired from playing as a champion. If Platt's playing career was about beating difficulty and overcoming adversity, his management career was about creating it. The strength and intelligence he showed on the pitch were replaced by a lack of experience and hubris that resulted in regulatory chaos, financial disaster, and legal anger. In December 1998, Platt, with no managerial experience, was appointed to manage his former club Sampdoria, who were struggling in 13th place. The appointment immediately provoked surprise and controversy for one simple reason. Platt did not have the qualifications demanded by the Italian Football Federation to coach a Serie A team. He had insufficient qualifications. The club's attempt to get around these regulations descended into a transparent farce that undermined his authority from day one. The club appointed an unknown named Giorgio Veneri as the official coach, while naming Platt the technical supervisor to all Sampdoria teams. While he was the de facto boss, this torrid arrangement led to absurd and humiliating consequences. Platt was unable to take his place on the bench. He could not communicate directly with his assistant during matches. He was even forced to conduct press conferences in car parks. This illegitimate foundation made failure inevitable. Platt resigned after just 7 weeks and 6 Serie A games. His record was a dismal 0 wins, 3 draws and 3 defeats. He left the club second from bottom, and they were subsequently relegated at the end of the season. Platt himself admitted he was on a steep learning curve and could have done with fewer obstacles. Those obstacles were created entirely by his own decision to accept a job for which he was not qualified. Despite the ill-fated and traumatic spell in Italy, Platt's reputation as a player was still bankable. In July 1999, recently relegated Nottingham Forest appointed him as player-manager. This decision was itself a gamble. The club had already been snubbed by several more experienced managers, including Martin O'Neill and Glenn Hoddle. The Forest board, led by chairman Eric Barnes and a new injection of cash from venture capitalist Nigel Doughty, made a catastrophic error. They mistook Platt's high-profile playing status for managerial competence. They viewed his appointment as a statement of ambition and backed it with a Premier League-level budget for a First Division campaign. Platt was given a 3-year contract worth a reported £700,000 annually and a transfer kitty of staggering proportions, cited as $12 million, or around $13 million or $16 million depending on the source. Platt's spending was immediate, vast and, in retrospect, catastrophic. Financial data shows an expenditure of $14,999 million in the 1999 to 2000 season alone, followed by another $5.35 million in 2000 to 01. This two-season total of $20.34 million was wasted. The nature of the spending reveals his mismanagement and lack of football judgment. The $12 million was spent largely on obscure Italian veterans. Indeed, his transfer business included Italians like Gianluca Petracci and Salvatore Matricano. Platt, whose playing career was defined by succeeding in Italy, mistakenly believed he could import Italian football DNA into the 46-game marathon of the English First Division. This was compounded by massive outlays on domestic players. He spent $50 million, about $2.5 million, on Ricardo Simeka from Aston Villa, a record-breaking fee for a First Division defender. He spent another £4.50 million, about $3 million, on David Johnson from Ipswich Town, another massive outlay, matching the Simeka fee. He spent $500,000 on Eugen Bopp, a significant sum for a 16-year-old. Then there were the undisclosed fees for Gianluca Petracci from Perugia, the obscure Italian veteran, Salvatore Matricano from Benevento, another failed Italian import, and Stern John from Columbus Crew as part of the initial $14.99 million splurge. The on-field return for this $20.34 million investment was virtually non-existent. Forest finished a disappointing 14th in 1999 to 2000 and 11th in 2000 to 01, 6 points short of the playoff places. Platt himself played 5 games, with some fans noting that when he picked himself, he was the best player on the pitch, a damning indictment of the squad he had built. Platt left in July 2001 to manage the England under-21 side. He left Nottingham Forest in a financial crisis. By August 2001, the club was $6 million in debt and losing $105,000 a week. The connection was explicit, direct. The club's fingers were badly burned by former manager David Platt, who wasted $12 million. The capstone to this disastrous tenure came 2 years after his departure. In 2003, with Forest still reeling from the financial fallout of his management, Platt sued the club. He claimed he was owed a $50,000 bonus for the 2000 to 01 season, in which his multi-million-pound team had finished 11th. 11th? Not promoted, not even close to the playoffs. 11th? This single act cemented his legacy as a most disliked figure among the Forest fan base. The chairman of the supporters club went on record to warn other clubs away from him. It was an act of profound entitlement that crystallised the controversy of his career. The resilient player had become an entitled and spectacularly failed manager. An analysis of David Platt's career reveals a stark split, a career of two completely opposite halves that could not be more different. His story is a study in the difference between earning success and being given opportunities, between proving yourself. As a player, Platt's legacy was defined by substance, by earning it through hard work. He was the protagonist in a narrative of resilience. He overcame rejection from England's biggest club. He proved his quality in the world's most difficult league. He adapted with consummate professionalism when his role at Arsenal was reduced by a new tactical generation, earned his reputation through sweat, goals and sheer determination. As a manager, his legacy was defined by artifice, by being given things he had not earned. He was given jobs he was not qualified for and budgets he had not earned, based almost entirely on the high-profile name he had built as a player. The very resilience that defined his playing days was inverted. It was replaced by a managerial career characterised by naivety, regulatory failure, financial recklessness, and a final, damaging legal dispute. The controversy of David Platt is not merely a series of unfortunate events. It is not bad luck. It is a profound cautionary tale. It illustrates the vast gap between on-field genius and off-field competence, between being a great player and a great manager. The man immortalised for his volley at Italia 90 is, for the supporters of Nottingham Forest, remembered for wasting $20 million, achieving nothing, and then suing the club he left in financial peril. But this is the real problem of David Platt. The man remembered for wasting $20 million and suing the club he left in danger is the same man who was a player defined by resilience. The man who overcame rejection from Manchester United, who proved his quality in the world's most difficult league, and who gave England one of its most iconic goals. The player had earned his reputation. The manager, it seems, did not.